Witchers, thank you for joining us. I'm Joy,
And I'm Laura.
and this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into Season 2, Episode 14, Born Under a Bad Sign.
So, Laura did
Didn't like
not
it.
enjoy this episode.
Well, it was only
He was-
it was only because you know how you felt watching Skin
I
when
do
Dean
know
was
exactly how
bad.
I felt watching Skin.
That's how I felt this episode when Sam.
Yeah.
Mainly the bit where, mainly the scene with Joe. I didn't like it.
That is horrible.
Yeah, it was not nice at all. I didn't like it.
That scene needs to come with some kind of trigger warning. Honestly, that it's dark.
Yeah, I didn't like Sam being mean to people. But yeah, that bit in particular was really bad. But I did like the episode. Like, I really liked the start. It was a bit of a kind of like a murder mystery detective kind of finding clues and retracing their steps. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah.
But then it took a turn.
It did take a turn. It took a sudden turn. I love this episode, but I feel like it starts out kind of stressful, and then it gets kind of funny, and there's some jokes, and then it gets really stressful, and then it gets really romantic and entertaining, and then it gets like really kick ass. So it
Yeah.
takes you through all of your ranges of all of your emotions and all of your feelings.
Every
It hits
emotion
really
ever.
hard. It hits really hard. I think it's in a good way. But I have literal notes in my watch notes about which parts I think you're gonna hate. But I think it is the exact equivalent because, like, I am the Dean girl of this podcast, and you are the Sam girl of this podcast. Which, by the way, like, I can
Yeah.
say that I was right at the beginning because I was like, I think you're gonna end up being a Sam girl, and I am correct.
Yeah.
Laura was telling me that somebody online interacting with the podcast page was saying that they were a Sam girl, but they were Dean curious. She was like,
Oh yeah, that was on Threads. Yeah, I
yeah,
was like,
I
same.
feel like that's the perfect description. So she's like, I'm a Sam girl, but I'm Dean curious. And I feel like I'm a Dean girl, but I'm Sam curious now.
Yeah.
Because never before, like, I've always liked Sam as a character, but I have never registered, like, oh, that's hot. Ever. Really. Like, I've been like, obviously, they're both really good looking guys. But I've never been drawn to Sam until this watch through. Like I say, I think it's the point of therapy. I think you have to have a
Yeah.
certain amount of therapy to be attracted to Sam over Dean, or to like see him through the haze, the heat haze that is Dean Winchester. Honestly.
See, if I was a
everyone
teenager,
who-
though, if I was watching this as a teenager, I would definitely been a Dean girl. I would have, if I'd watched it maybe even at the time, I think I would have been. But I think Sam's personality and like he's a bit more sensitive and like smart, and that's definitely more my type now.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting too, because like I usually go for the taller guy, generally speaking.
Oh yeah, I do
Height
like a
is
tall guy as well.
Yeah, height is a real thing for me. And I feel like the acting is so solid and so good that I've never noticed how tall Sam is or how ripped Sam is until this season. Like, my jaw was on the floor. There's that scene where they're pranking each other during Hell House. So they wrote that scene for him to walk out in a towel. And I have never noticed that Sam is so unbelievably hinged before. Like, Jared is ripped, okay? Never in my life was I like, oh wow, that's sexy. I didn't notice anything. I was just like, cool, he came out of the shower. Haha, Dean's putting itchy powder. Like, I was so enamored with Dean that Sam only existed to me as his kid brother. And it's literally only this time that I'm like, oh wow, damn. Jared Padalecki is a thirst trap. But yeah, I had some fun facts before we dive into the episode that I wanted to tell you about.
Ooh.
So the episode title, Born Under a Bad Sign, is a song. So it's like a blues song by a man named Albert King. And the lyrics are so Sam oriented for this episode. Like, it's literally just being born without any good luck and like being messed up from the day he was born kind of a thing. And it just
Aw.
like describes this sense of doom. And that's what's happening with Sam. It's like Sam just cannot catch a break. So I thought that was a really funny kind of a pun, but also it hits you in the heart a little bit. So I've
Yeah.
posted the lyrics in my show notes for anybody who doesn't know the song. It is a really good song, to be fair. I feel like most of us know it, but like, go and check out the lyrics in the show notes and think about this episode. And I think you're going to be like, oh yeah, that totally vibes. And then the other one was they put in, so you know how REO Speedwagon is a whole thing between Dean and Joe.
Yeah.
So they played Back on the Road Again by REO Speedwagon during a point with this interaction with Dean and Joe.
Oh, I
And the
didn't notice that.
lyrics made me want to cry. Because you know how Dean is pushing Joe away in this episode?
Yeah.
The lyrics are all about being in love with a woman, but feeling like for who they are and what their life is at the moment, they just have to go back on the road and there's no choice. And he says, I love you now and I'll always love you, even if I leave, basically.
Uh,
And the lyrics are so touching. They are also in the show notes. Highly recommend going and reading that because that is like a love letter between Dean and Joe. And it's definitely like how he feels towards Joe in this
yeah.
episode. And it's book boyfriend. It's so romantic. It made
I
me
like
so
that
happy.
because in the episode, I know it's a demon saying it, not
Yeah.
Sam, but when he's like, "Oh, he just sees you as a sister," and I was like, maybe he did, but no,
No,
I'm
absolutely
with
not.
you.
Absolutely not. You know in that scene where he says, "Oh, I should have cleaned the pipes before." Because she's had to rub her whole body all over. Like that is not he doesn't have a little sister feeling for her in his body. He is in love with her. Um I have watched and rewatched these episodes so many times. They're my favorite ones. And like I will die on this hill because I'm right. I won't die. I'll slay. I'll slay on this hill because I'm right. Everybody else is wrong. End of discussion. I can prove it. I have so many ways to back up what I'm saying. Um but
That's good. That's
like
what I wanted it to be, so I'm gonna go with you.
Yep. Yep. Okay, here's the lyrics. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I'll cry. But he says, "Please don't misunderstand me. I hate to see you cry, but I think that it might look better if I told you now goodbye. I'm back on the road again. It's time I leave you now, and maybe I'll see you next time that I'm around. Until then, I hope you're happy, baby, and good times come your way. I'm back on the road. I'm on my way. Well, I've loved you since the day I met you, and I'll love you till the day I die. But we both know the life I'm living, and we both know the reason why. I've got to leave you, Mama, and I've got to leave today. But you know that I'll see you next time I come through your town to play." And then it's just, ooh, bye bye, baby. Bye bye, baby.
Ah, I want to listen to that now.
It's so good. Oh, I love it so much. Okay, so I have two more fun facts for
Go
the
for it.
preamble before we go into the episode. Okay, so you remember when you said that you found out that, like, what was it? Mahoggoth? I can't say it.
Oh yeah,
It's like Mahoggoth was
yeah,
slang for like masturbation.
wanking.
Okay,
Yeah.
wanking. Yeah. So when Dean is looking for Sam, the way that he's logged onto that computer and all the
Oh yeah,
identities
I did see
he's
that.
using is Mr.
Yeah.
Mahoggoth.
Yeah.
So that joke is still going. Like it starts when he walks in and he catches Sam watching porn in the hotel, like episodes ago. And then they've carried it through for the last, I don't know how many. Is it 4 episodes now? I don't know. It's
Yeah,
a
I can't remember what
while.
episode that was. Yeah. It is
Honestly,
a while.
respect for a dirty funny joke, okay? Respect. That cracked me up. Um and then the last one that I have for you is when Dean finds Sam at that motel, he's registered as Richard Sambora, who is Bon Jovi's guitarist. Because there's the whole joke of like, oh,
Yeah.
how Sam's secretly a Bon Jovi
Bon
fan.
Jovi fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are my preamble fun facts for you.
Cool. Do you want me to do the synopsis?
Yeah, do the synopsis, please.
So this is season 2, episode 14, Born Under a Bad Sign. The original air date for this episode was February 8th, 2007. Sam has been missing for a week and calls Dean. He tells him he has no recollection of the past few days, but is now covered in blood and doesn't know how. They retrace Sam's steps, which leads them to a fellow hunter's residence. The hunter has been killed, and when they watch a security tape that captured what happened, they realise Sam was the one who killed him. Dean tries to explain this away, but Sam tells Dean this is what their dad warned him about and tells Dean to kill him, but Dean can't do it. Sam gets angry, knocks Dean unconscious, and flees. He goes to a bar and we see Joe has been working there. Sam attacks Joe and it is revealed that he's been possessed by a demon with 2 motives. 1, trying to kill hunters, and 2, to trick Dean into killing Sam. Dean shows up and has worked out what's happening. Him and Sam fight, resulting in Dean being shot and Sam fleeing again, this time to Bobby's, who lets him in, but Bobby's also realised something's going on and secures him in a devil's trap. Meanwhile, Joe has patched Dean up and he arrives at Bobby's just in time to exorcise the demon from Sam. The exorcism doesn't work though, and Bobby notices the demon has locked itself inside Sam. The demon escapes the trap and tells Dean its real identity in the process. It's Meg, or at least the same demon who possessed Meg. Bobby manages to break the lock and the demon exits Sam's body. Bobby gives the boys anti-possession charms to stop this happening again and they leave. In the car, Sam says he is worried that he's going to turn evil, but Dean says he is going to save him if it's the last thing he does.
Aww.
Ah.
That part is actually really touching. I love
Yeah.
that part.
I thought this opening scene was good because it was the way that it was shot kind of added to the franticness of it. Because Dean is on the phone to Ellen and we only hear his side of the conversation as well. And that also added to the frantic feeling because we're only hearing half the conversation and having to fill the rest in for ourselves. And there's loads of cuts. So there's like loads of kind of really just a few seconds missing. And it just adds to the franticness. I don't know how you describe that in film terms. You might know more.
There are a lot of like fast jump cuts.
Hmm.
There are a lot of dramatic close-ups too. It's kind of the camera's sort of pulling out and then closing in on Dean from my memory to give us that
Yeah.
sense of like anxiety and urgency. And then when he gets the call and then he's going to go to Sam, he's like running down this hallway, and I had written down that it's like very 2000s horror with the glitchy cuts and shots to make the hall look like crazy long, like
Yeah.
infinitely long. There's a film trick to that, and you sort of, from memory, I think you kind of pull in as you pull the camera back physically on tracks, so that it just creates that sensation of like a little bit of vertigo and a little bit of like the infinity mirror effect where it looks like it just goes on forever and it's so unbelievably long. So there was
Yeah.
a really good sense of panic and horror from the start of the episode. And we also are not used to seeing Dean panic.
No.
Like, it's like I've said before, whenever Dean loses his shit, that's when you need to worry, because
Yeah.
he is so cool in the craziest of circumstances. So you know that shit has truly hit the fan. And I wrote down, Dean freaking out is my ultimate thirst trap. I want to rescue him.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically Dean is ringing Ellen saying he doesn't know where Sam is, he's been missing, and then he gets a call through. It was Cool Waiting. Did you see that on there? It's like, oh, Cool Waiting. Throwback. And it's Sam, and he answers and asks where he is and asks if he's okay. He tells Sam to calm down and he's on his way, and then basically he goes to where Sam is. And we see Sam putting the phone down and his knuckles are all bloody. So we know that something's happened. He's had some sort of fight.
Yeah.
And then when Dean turns up at the motel, Sam isn't like looking at him. He can't like meet his eye. And Dean asks if he's bleeding because he sees his hands. And then he notices a huge patch of blood on Sam's shirt, and he freaks out at that as well, doesn't he? Because he thinks
Yeah.
Sam's bleeding. And Sam says he doesn't think it's his blood, but he doesn't know whose it is. And then Dean's like, well, what happened? And Sam says he can't remember anything.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the titles.
I wrote down, Sam is covered in blood with no memory. Uh-oh.
Oh.
In parentheses, it says Laura style.
It was a pretty good opening scene, like we said.
Mhm.
So then we cut to a bit later, and Dean has been out for food, and he's spoken to the front desk, finding out that Sam checked in 2 days ago under the name Richard Sambora, which we talked about. And he says,
Yeah.
I think the scariest part about this is that you're a Bon Jovi fan. And I just went, are we
Yeah.
supposed to believe that Dean's not? Because he loves a bit of hair rock. And also, there's nothing wrong with Bon Jovi.
I was just like, it just cracked me up. Like, it just made me laugh so hard. Like, because Sam is always so judgmental about Dean's taste in rock, and I feel
Yeah.
like this was him just getting his own back and having a little bit of banter.
Yeah.
Um, and
Like, I
it
thought you
just
didn't
made
like
me
this kind of music.
it just made me laugh so hard. Like, it just I died laughing. I love that line. That's one of my favorite quotes from this episode.
Yeah. And he goes on to say that no one's noticed anything unusual or like any noise coming from the room or anything. And Sam says, you mean no one saw me walking around covered in blood? And he's like, yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. um, I have notes about the motel, Joy.
Tell me.
Well, you know I love a theme. This was fishing themed randomly.
It was fishing themed.
Fishing themed. And I've written, do you think the set designer just comes up with a random theme each week? As these choices are so unhinged, but I love it. Because
I
we've had bowling, we've had disco,
Yeah,
we've had cowboys, we've had porn, we've had blue,
Sherlock Holmes. Yeah,
and now fishing.
and now fishing. I feel like there's a little bit of tongue in cheek because I think in some way, shape, or form, it references something about the actual place where it's supposed to be set, because this is in the
Yeah.
Great Lakes, so or in that area. So like the fact that it's a fishing themed motel in this episode is pretty like tongue in cheek and kind of funny. I did notice though that for I think the last 3, set design has literally just taken out whatever the biggest elements is on those. Like, yeah, they love those iron bar features.
Yeah.
Whatever, I don't know if they have a technical name. And they just took out like the beer ones from last time and inserted fish.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
just
fish
like,
and then like a weight or something. It's like a
yeah, they rinse and repeat.
yeah.
Um, and I was like, well, I give you 2 stars because That's that feels lazy. That feels like you're not trying, but it is pretty funny too, so I can
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I think the themes are funny.
Yeah,
Fishing's a
the
bit
themes are
random,
pretty
but I like
hilarious.
it.
But see, remember, this is where it's fun to look back to the very first episode, the introductory episode that we did. And I was like, the motels are themed, and you were like, "What are
Yeah.
you talking about?" And I was like, "We're gonna rate the motels," and you were like, "Okay." And
I remember you
then
saying about the motels being a big thing, and I was like, "Why? What?" Thinking it
Yeah,
was a bit
she
random.
was just like, "What are you talking about? How does
I
that
get
make
it now.
sense with a monster show?" Yeah.
So Sam is worried that he's hurt someone, or worse, and that maybe this is what John warned Dean about, like him turning evil and maybe having to kill him. And
Mhm.
now looking back on it, because he's already the demon here, and he's being very manipulative, but we didn't realize this at the time because I just felt bad because I was like, oh no, Sam's killed someone probably, and he doesn't know why.
Okay, no, I have a question for you. Because it's usually the other way around, but I have a question for you this time, which is like, I am confused if
Uh,
obviously Meg already has him, and he must already have her witchcraft on him, right? The thing that like locks her into his body so that she can't just be exorcised again. That's like her insurance policy.
yeah.
Um, But do we think that Sam has managed to surface, or she's let Sam surface as to bait Dean in and then she takes over again?
Uh,
Or do we
no,
think
I
that
think
this
she's
entire
acting.
thing she's just acting?
Yeah, because later when Sam's back, he says that he like could see some of it, but he didn't seem
Yeah.
like he was in control of anything. Um, and it keeps switching, and which is shows Jared's acting skills, but it's the switching
Mhm.
between the demon pretending to be Sam and the demon being a demon. Like when he's in the Joe scene, when
Yeah.
Dean comes in,
Yeah.
he acts all like Sam again, doesn't he?
Yeah.
which is really good. But I don't think Sam, he might be able to see some of it, but I don't think he has control.
Hmm. Okay.
So Dean basically tells them to chill out as they don't know what's happened yet. And he says they need to treat it like any other job and asks Sam the last thing he remembers. And he says he remembers being in a motel room in West Texas and going out for burgers. And Dean says that was over a week ago. And Dean just says they need to retrace his steps and walks over to the window and notices bloody fingerprints. To start with, I thought he was going to have found sulfur, and I was ready for the eye roll.
The moths. The
The
demon
demon
moth.
moths. Yeah, but it was bloody fingerprints.
Yeah.
So they go outside, and Dean asks if Sam recognises anything. Sam says not really. They walk towards some garages, and Sam says it feels familiar, so he thinks he's been there. And then he conveniently finds a key in his pocket, and they open one of the garages, and there's a really old VW Beetle in there. And I did not notice this until I was looking. What was I looking on? The supernaturalfandom.com, like the supernatural wiki on there. But it
Yeah.
says the blue VW Beetle is Ava Wilson's car.
I thought so.
So it's Ava's car. So what's happened to Ava?
Fuck. Yeah.
So he's got her car.
Which means Meg got Ava.
Yeah.
That must have been the first thing that she did on her way back.
But we still haven't seen Ava. But yeah, something's definitely happened to her. Oh.
Yeah.
Dean seems disgusted by this car as well. His face. It's like, oh, that's not a classic car.
He says, "Oh, please tell me you didn't steal this."
That. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh." This part is so funny too, this next part, because what happens is Sam looks uncomfortable, like he's embarrassed. Um, and then they go to get in the car, and Jared Padalecki is so tall. So Sam
And
trying to
beetles
get
are
in
very
this
small.
so small. It ruins the drama because it's supposed to be like scary, setting it up to be like, ooh, behold, this bloody knife. I think I may have committed the murders. Like it's supposed to be scary, right? But instead, it's just hilarious because Jared has to basically fold himself in half to try to reach for it. His shoulders are going up to his knees. He looks so pained. I don't know how he's getting enough air to deliver his lines. Like, I feel for him. Like, this was not tall person friendly.
It was like, was it last episode when I said about him sitting in a chair and it was the same thing? He
Yeah.
sits down in a chair and it looks like he's sitting on a kid's chair.
Yeah. No, I was watching him do, I think it was an interview, and he was saying how like they had to refilm a bunch of different scenes because he was supposed to get out of or get into the Impala, and the Impala, being a classic car, is really low to the ground
Yeah.
and was not built for someone of his size. So he said they had to refilm a bunch of the takes where he just looks like a giraffe trying to fold himself inside the car.
Yeah.
I can't have it.
Aw.
Oh, poor tall boy.
So yeah, they're searching the car and there's blood on the steering wheel and a bloody knife on the back seat, there was a huge knife.
It was a giant hunting knife.
Yeah. Sam's worried that he stabbed someone. And Dean finds an open packet of cigarettes in the front and says it couldn't have been Sam. And then Sam finds a gas receipt from a nearby town, so they head over there. Oh, and this is where I wrote that I like the kind of murder mystery detective vibes so far.
Yeah, yeah. It's cool. It's cool.
So they go to this petrol station. Dean asks if it seems familiar. He says, any deja vu vibes? But Sam shakes his head, and Dean says they should go in to see if Sam is recognised. And boy, is he recognised.
Oh my god, it's so funny. It's so funny. So, do you want me to read the
Yeah.
lines? Yeah, I thought you might. Okay, so previously as well, I want it to be noted that Dean was disgusted because he found menthols in the back seat, and he's just like, oh. So he just goes, oh, Bon Jovi, and then he goes, oh, menthols, and then he comes in. They walk in. The clerk is like, yeah, I'm talking to him. Jerk comes in yesterday, stinking drunk, grabs a 40 from the fridge, starts chugging. Dean goes, this guy, you're
He keeps
drinking
saying
malt
that, this
liquor?
guy.
He's like, what the fuck? It's great. The
This
clerk
guy?
goes, "Not after he whipped the friggin' bottle at my head." And Dean goes, "This guy?" He's like, his mind is blown. He cannot handle it. Like, you can see him doing the math. Dean is doing Dean math, and the Dean math is Bon Jovi, malt liquor, menthols, and violence from Sam, and he cannot handle it. The math is not mathing. It's so funny. And the
Yeah.
clerk's like, "What am I, speaking Urdu?" And Sam says, "Look, I'm really sorry if I did anything." The clerk's like, "Tell your story walking, pal. Popo will be here in 5." And Dean goes, "Wait, wait, wait. Put the phone
I'm
down."
sorry. That was so funny. That was like, not only was the tell your story walking pal was funny enough, and then he calls the police the popo, and I lost it. I was just in hysterics. The tell your story walking bit as well reminds me of that episode in Friends where Ross says it to Rachel when they lock. I think it's when they lock themselves out of the apartment and the baby's
Yeah,
inside.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, what are you saying?
Okay, so Dean says, "Wait, wait, put the phone down." And he's pulling out a massive wad of cash while he's saying it. He's saying, "Sam, go wait in the car." And Sam's like, "But Dean," and he's like a petulant child. It's hilarious. And Dean says, "Go wait in the car." Because Sam is clearly his child in this episode. So Sam goes, "Ah," and then leaves. And it's so funny.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Okay, okay, look, man, I just want to talk to you. That's it." And the clerk hangs up. And he says, "Now, when he took off yesterday, which way did he go?" And the clerk's like, "Why don't you ask him?" And Dean's like, "'Cause I'm asking you. Now, please, you'd be doing me a huge favor." And the clerk's like, "Oh, do you a favor? Well, that's what I live for. You know, your buddy didn't pay for the booze, okay, or the smokes, which he also illegally lit up." And Dean says, "You saw him smoking?" And the clerk goes, "Yeah, guy's a chimney." And Dean, sorry, this is when Dean bribes him, pulls out a massive wad, and says, this ought to cover it." And the clerk's like, "Oh, it's coming back to me now. He took 2 packs." And Dean pulls out more money, and he says, "Of course he did." And then the clerk says he went north, Route 71, straight out of town. So Dean's like, "Okay." Then he grabs 2 candy bars on his way out. He's like, "Fuck you, my guy. You
So
said."
I've just paid for these.
Yeah, he's like, "I just gave you tried to take all my money. I'm taking my
Yeah.
candy."
Yeah.
So funny.
This whole scene was funny, and I would know the cashier guy was being a bit of a dick, but from his perspective, Sam was really awful to him and doesn't really want to see him again. And like, I've
Yeah.
worked retail, I know what that's like. You're just like,
Oh,
no.
100%. Yeah. If someone came into a store or a bar that I was working in and threw shit at my head, like threw a bottle at my head
Yeah,
and swore at me, started lighting up packs in the shop and just like it was just awful, I would be like, "You're banned. I'm calling the police." Like it's a vibe. It's a vibe. I get it. So,
yeah.
um,
Is this the
you know,
demon when he's not being watched as well? Or when she's not being watched?
yeah.
She's just
Yeah.
act like that all the time.
She, I guess that's Meg's
Throwing
idea of a
bottles,
party is listening to
smoking.
Bon Jovi, throwing bottles, smoking, just causing chaos wherever she goes. Um, so Dean's driving down a dark road and Sam's staring out the window. And Dean's like, "What's going on with you, Sam? Hmm? Because smoking, throwing bottles at people, I mean, that sounds more like me than you." And that made me laugh.
That was funny.
I was like, "Dean, what do you do on a Wednesday night? Like, what are you getting up to?"
Throwing bottles around.
Yeah. And Sam says, "Dean, wait right here, turn down that road." And Dean's like, "What?" And Sam says, "I don't know how I know it, I just do." And I started to get suspicious at this point. Like, I didn't 100% know what was going on, but the suspicion
Yeah.
started to come over me. Um,
I don't know
so
when the moment
Dean,
was for me when I realised, but it definitely wasn't yet.
I didn't know what was going on, but I was just like, "This seems sus." Um, So Dean turns down the road and it goes down to this private property and there's tons of security. There's like emergency lights and security cameras everywhere. And Sam says, "Whoever lives here, I'd say they don't like surprises." And Dean says, "Should we knock?" And Sam's like, "Yeah, I guess." And it's so petulant. Um,
Oh, I just have a side note to say that I really love these kinds of houses that you have in the US with the like wraparound porches. I would
God, I
That's like
miss
a
the
dream
porch.
house. I would love
I
to have a house
would
like that.
I I would give my left arm for a porch. Like, houses in
Yeah.
the UK do not have porches. Unfun fact, okay? It's
No.
not cool. I do not like it at all. I
Well, in
want
fairness,
porches.
there's only about 2 weeks in the year that you could sit outside anyway.
It's true, but I want those 2 weeks. And the thing is like if it's a good porch, you get your blankets, and you can get like a little portable heater and hot chocolate and sit outside. It's so nice. Oh,
Oh my god, like Lorelai's house in Gilmore Girls. Her house is my
exactly.
dream house.
See. Okay, now back to Supernatural. So Sam waves his
It's not the
flashlight
first
at
time we've combined all of our loves of other shows. How many times do we talk about Buffy and the X-Files? I'm not allowed to talk about Gilmore Girls.
I wasn't having a go. I was just trying to keep us on track because you have to edit this. And you said that you wanted to be done on time today. So I'm trying to be good. I was like, okay, I should stay on task. Now I'm trying to stay on task, and she's still not happy.
I'm leaving this in, by the way.
Beautiful. Do you wanna talk about Lorelai? Do you want to tell people if you're in autumn?
No, but I love the snow.
Can you smell snow?
Yeah.
Okay. That's important. That's a key fact.
Yeah. Okay, so Sam then notices a smashed window and they wonder why there wasn't an alarm and police there. But Sam then sees the electricity to the house is being cut and because the fuse box thing is open and has cut wires. And I was like, I don't really understand wiring, but how is the security light working?
That's a good
Is it on a
question.
separate wire?
That's a solid question. Yeah.
Maybe it's
I
like
don't know.
there's only a certain part inside the house that's been cut. Anyway, they go inside, there's more destruction, there's broken plates and glass all over the floor. And then they find a dead man on the floor in one of the rooms. And Sam says that he must have done it. And Dean tries to explain it away, saying he must have had a good reason or it was self-defense. And then they realise he's another hunter because they find this like huge arsenal of weapons in a closet.
Yeah.
And a
And
John
they're like,
board.
he's either the Unabomber or he's a hunter.
Yeah, that was funny.
So then they find a security tape, and on the tape, Sam is fighting the same man who's dead on the floor behind them. The fight moves off camera, and Sam drags the man back into frame, kneels with the man pulled up against his legs, and slits his throat like he's a deer or something. It is brutal. Sam's staring in shock as Dean pulls back from the screen and stands up straight, looking at Sam. There's like a close up on Sam. He is shooketh. And Sam looks down like he can't believe like he's just world's ending, you know? And then we cut to Sam sitting at the computer desk staring at this page in his hand, and Dean's bustling around behind him, kind of trying to clean up the scene. My notes slay me. Okay, because my notes literally say Sam killed a hunter. Dean is totally down to cover his tracks. Dean,
Yeah.
before even figuring out what's going on, Dean's like, cool, you did a murder, I'll clean the scene.
Yeah.
Just like, he's like, it's fine. Murder happens between friends. You just boys will be boys. He's just running around removing evidence that they were at this scene.
I'd written that Dean goes into clean-up mode and Sam goes into depressed mode.
Yeah, that's fair. That's also a fair assessment. So this part also cracks me up because Dean's like, how do you erase this, huh? Sam, come on, I need your help, because he's talking about the computer. He wants to get rid of the evidence that would have been recorded by the security footage and stuff and make sure that Sam can't be got for anything. And
by the other
Sam's
hunters.
just sitting there staring. Yeah, going, I killed him, Dean. I just broke down and killed him. And Dean says, listen to me, whoever this guy is, he's a hunter, which means that the other hunters are going to come looking for his killer, which means we've got to cover our tracks. And Sam's all, his name was Steve Wendell. This is a letter from his daughter. And Dean's like, you're not helping. Okay. So he picks up the computer and just smashes it on the floor. And all I can think of is Zoolander when they're like, the files are inside the computer. And they smash the computer and they're like, where are the files?
Yeah, that's accurate. Because I'm like, how is that? That's not going to get rid of anything, Dean. It's still there. You just smashed a computer. You haven't deleted any files.
I guess it depends on where the footage goes. Like, if the footage was actually stored on his computer, then maybe he
Mm.
did something, but, yeah, I don't know. It's so funny. It's just straight Zoolander. Um, and I also thought it was kinda dramatic and kinda hot, honestly, because he's like,
Yeah.
"Protect brother, smash."
It's like Panic,
Um,
isn't it? I'll just smash it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
Dean logic.
It is Dean logic. So then Dean says, "Wipe your prints," and then we go. And then we cut to the motel room, and this is the fish motel room.
And Fish
It's
Motel, yeah.
important that you know that we're in the fishing motel now where this scene happens. Um, so Dean's saying that they'll get a couple of hours of sleep and then they're gonna put that place in their rearview mirror and that Sam needs to snap out of it because Sam is just kind of like staring and out of it and not okay. Um, and Sam says, "Just get some sleep and leave in the morning." Murder Dean. That's what I did. And Dean's trying to figure out what to say, and he says, "Maybe." And Sam's like, "Okay." And then he says, "Hey, we don't know. Shapeshifter." And Sam's like, "Oh, come on. You know it wasn't you saw the tape. There's no eye flare, there's no distortion." And Dean goes, "Yeah, but it wasn't you, all right. I mean, yeah, it might have been you, but it wasn't you." And that was kind of funny.
In
He's like,
denial.
"It was you, but it wasn't you." Yeah. And Sam goes full emo. "Well, I think it was." And then he kind of like throws himself on the bed.
He
And then
goes
he
quite
says, like,
emo quite a lot, doesn't he?
oh, he really does. But it's Meg in fairness to Sam. But yeah. So he goes, "I think maybe more than you know." And Dean's like, "What the hell does that mean?" And he says, "For the last few weeks, he's been having feelings." And Dean's like, "What feelings?" And again, feelings made me laugh. And he's all dramatic and he says, "Rage, hate, and I can't stop it. It just gets worse day by day. It gets worse." And Dean's like, "You never told me this." And Sam says, "I didn't want to scare you." And Dean has kind of like a little rage moment where he nods and then he smacks his leg, stands up and says, "Well, bang up job on that." And Sam says, "Dean, the yellow-eyed demon, you know he has plans for me, and we both know he's turned other children into killers before too." And that part made me laugh because I was like, "Are you a child, Sam? Are you a children? You are children? I am what?
Are you children?
The children. The children killers." And Dean says, "No one can control you but you," which is hilarious because Meg is riding him like a horse right now. Okay. So that's funny. Um, and Sam says, "It sure doesn't seem like that, Dean. It feels like no matter what I do, slowly but surely, I'm just becoming." And Dean goes, "What?" And Sam says, "Who I'm meant to be. I mean, you said it once to yourself, Dean. I gotta face up to who I am." And Dean screams, "I didn't mean this." And Sam says, "But it's still true. You know that. Dad knew it too. That's why he told you if it ever came to this." And he goes, "Shut up, Sam." And he says, "Dean, you promised him. You promised me." And I'm reading this part because I think it's important that we understand this is what Meg wants.
Mm,
Meg wants to destroy Dean
yeah,
by torturing him in the worst possible way. And the thing that
yeah,
would torment Dean more than anything would be killing his brother.
yeah.
So you gotta leave room for
Evil.
the evil. Yeah. Let the evil breathe, you know? So Sam says, "Yeah, there is." And he takes this handgun out from his duffel bag and he says, "I don't want to hurt anyone else. I don't want to hurt you." And at this point, when I thought Sam was Sam, I was like, he's very noble because he's willing to
Yeah,
sacrifice himself to protect other people, which is a real Sam move. Like that is what Sam would say. And Dean looks down at the gun and says, "You won't. Whatever this is, you can fight it." And Sam is kind of tearing up and he says, "No, I can't. Not forever. Here, you got to do it." And they look at each other for a long moment. And then Sam grabs Dean's hand and places it on the gun. And Dean is just in shock. And Dean says, "I've tried so hard to keep you safe." And Sam says, "I know." And Dean shakes his head no. And he says, "I can't. I'd rather die." And I was
yeah.
like, he is
Mm, it's
the
sad.
most handsome, kindest, most awesomest man in all of the world, and I love him very much. I wouldn't qualify this as a thirst trap. I don't know what this is. This is just it's a love trap. Like if you weren't already madly in love with Dean, you are madly in love with him by the time he's delivered that line. Okay, I rest my case.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't
so
like because I didn't know it was the demon yet, and it was really intense and horrible, and I was
yeah, agreed.
It was like, if you put yourself in either of their shoes, it's a bad situation to be in. Obviously, we now know it was
Mhm.
a demon trying to bait Dean into killing his brother, but
Yeah,
when you think it's Sam saying it, and then when you
you
think
just wanna
about Dean
cry.
having to
Yeah,
maybe kill his brother, yeah, it's really sad.
it's horrible. So, Dean throws the gun on the bed and shoulders past Sam, and Sam says, "No, you'll live." And then he picks up the gun, and he says, "You'll live to regret this," and then he pistol whips Dean in the head, who falls to the floor unconscious. Dun, dun,
Oh.
dun. Yeah, that's a great place for an uh-oh. That
Yeah.
was an uh-oh for sure.
Well, at this point on my initial watch, I was just like, what's happening now?" I was like, "What?"
Yeah, me
But
too.
this
I
is
was
what I
like,
think,
"What the fuck?"
yeah, I think this is where I realized that, oh, Sam, I didn't know he was possessed yet. I think I knew something was wrong with him. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think where I was I was very suspicious that something demonic had taken him over. I didn't know that he was specifically possessed exactly, but I figured it
Yeah.
was something, like, akin to that, like, some kind of weird shit was happening, and it
Yeah,
wasn't Sam.
I think I thought it might be to do with the yellow-eyed demon and, like, him maybe
Yeah,
starting to, because they keep saying about how he's trying to recruit, like, an army or whatever,
yeah.
and trying to, like, control them, I guess. I thought that was what it was gonna be. I definitely didn't think it was gonna be Meg.
Yeah, you for sure you know he's being puppeteered by some kind of demonic bullshit, but you just don't know what it is. Okay, so there is this blackout moment, and then there's this really loud knocking, and Dean is woken up by the manager who is trying to let a sex worker and her client into the room. Right? He looks like a senator and a sex worker, honestly. And it's so funny. You just laugh so hard because the manager's like, "It's past checkout, and I've got a couple here needs your room." And Dean looks out and says, "Yeah, I'll bet they do. What time is it?" And he says that it's 12:30. And then Dean asks where Sam went, and the manager sort of says that he left and he took the car. And Dean says, "Oh,
Oh,
son
oh.
of a." Yeah. And the manager interrupts before he can finish and says that it's just policy about him needing to pay extra. And Dean says, "I need to use your computer." And the manager's like, "Why would I let you use my computer?" So Dean has had to part with his, stolen cash once more. His hard work stolen cash. He's worked so hard to hustle that money. Um, so he's sitting in front of a laptop and he makes a call. And this part made me laugh quite a few times, okay? Because he says, "Hi, sorry to bother you, but my son snuck out of the house last night and went to a Justin Timberlake concert." "What?" "Yeah, no, Justin is quite the triple threat." And he says it, and then he makes his face, and it's so good. And then he says, anyway, he's not back yet, and I'm starting to worry." "Right, yeah, boys will be boys, but see, Sammy is, and it's the way he says Sammy, my son
Yeah.
Sammy, and I was like, he said, "He's diabetic, and if he doesn't get his insulin, I just have to find him. Please, I'm begging you. Yeah, no, 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 no. I'm on the website right now. I just need to activate the GPS on his cell phone." So he finds the GPS and he says, "Yeah, right. Uh-huh. Duluth, Minnesota. That's a long way to go for a concert. I appreciate your help."
So we cut to a bar and Joe's there, and I just fit. She just turned into her mum now. She's like running a bar. And Sam comes in and clears his throat, and she says, "Sorry, they're closing." Sam says, "How about one for the road?" And then she's like, "I didn't expect to see you here." And he asks for a beer, and she says, "Okay." And then this is where the horrible evil part starts.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So he smiles at her, but when she turns away from him, his eyes change and he looks evil. And Jared really sells this because he's so convincing, and that makes it worse.
Actually, this is the first time. So, like, the thing is, Jared is so charming
Mm.
that you don't perceive how big he is. But you really understand how absolutely enormous he is in this scene when he's feeling
Yeah.
bad. And it's terrifying
Mhm.
because all of the charm goes off and you suddenly realize that he's like 6'7" or something.
Yeah.
And he is enormous
I don't
and
describe
he's
that tall, but yeah.
like that's what Jensen always says. I picked it up because I've listened to so much convention footage, and Jensen always says he's like 6'7". I think he's actually like 6'4", 6'5", which is funny because that's
Yeah.
my husband's height. So like Nick is 6'4". It just doesn't compute. So yeah, so he's huge. And I also wrote down, I need everyone to know, I wrote down, the Not Sam is going after Joe. Not Sam has a brand. This must be
Not
a
Sam.
clue. Not Sam, being angry / bad, looks kind of like Ryan Reynolds. I don't know why. But he really, really does. Go back and look at it. I'm telling you, you guys, tell us in the comments on this episode if you go back and you're like, oh my gosh, he does look kind of like Ryan Reynolds. I swear to you, the resemblance is there.
We do like it when people comment on the actual episodes, by the way. We love seeing those comments.
Oh my god, that makes honestly, commenting anywhere makes our day, but it's so nice when it's actually on
When it's on
Spotify. Or because it's so cool to actually talk to you guys. Like, we've had the nicest interactions with y'all lately, and it has just been so cool. You don't understand how much we nerd out and how happy we are when we get like such fun, cool interactions with y'all. It's everything.
Yeah. So Joe brings him a beer and asks how he found her, and he says it's what they do. Yeah, because they're hunters. And then she asks after Dean, and I just wrote, literally the second sentence out of her mouth is asking where her book boyfriend is.
Book boyfriend! I do have some book boyfriend comments, but I'm not going to make you do the bell this time because last time she got annoyed at me. Just you guys have to pretend.
That was funny though, because there were so many.
Yeah.
She asks why he's there, as they didn't part on the best of terms, and he says he wants to make it right. And he reaches his arm out during this exchange, and she sees what looks like a brand on his arm. By the way, so Joe notices the brand, and Bobby notices it like straight away, but Dean apparently didn't notice it to start with.
Did he have sleeves on in all of those scenes?
I think he's had the same.
I can't remember.
He had the same outfit on
because he takes off his jacket in this scene, doesn't he?
Okay.
So like, I think that he had sleeves.
I can't remember what he had on. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that he had sleeves whenever he was around Dean. So I think maybe that's the explanation for that. And Joe says it looks like it hurts. Then Sam says, no, I just had a run-in with a hot stove. And I was like, that doesn't look like any part of a stove. That's so clearly witchcraft. Exactly. It's like so clearly a glyph or a sigil of some kind.
Yeah. I'm like, come on, demon, that's not believable. It's a very specific looking symbol.
Laura was like, do better. Okay, do better with your evil plans. You're not the guy.
A better lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Higher quality evil. That's hilarious. And then Joe says, so you were saying something about squaring things? And Sam says, yeah, look, I know how you feel about my dad, and I can't say I blame you. He was obsessed, consumed with hunting, and he didn't care who got caught in the crossfire. And I guess that included your dad, but that was my father. That's not me. And he's like low-key starting to flirt with Joe at this point, and you start to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it did make me uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. And Joe tries. Sam would never. That's why all of my notes say not Sam. The not Sam.
Didn't I call Dean the not Dean in Skin?
You did. It's literally Skin, but for Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So Joe says, what about Dean? Because she only cares about Dean. Like, let's be real. And she's also trying to redirect the uncomfy situation where Sam's kind of flirting with her, which is super weird. He's never flirted with her. She's like, what?
Yeah.
So
like bringing up the guy she actually fancies.
Yeah. So Sam says, well, Dean's more like my father than I am. But Joe gives him a look and he laughs and he says, boy, you're really carrying a torch for him, aren't you? And I was like, this is not Sam. This was the part where I started labeling everything as not Sam.
Not Sam.
And Joe kind of shifts and scoffs and is, like, uncomfortable, and it doesn't reply, and he just keeps going, and he says, "I'll take that as a yes, it's too bad." And then Sam gives her this weird smile and says, "'Cause see, Dean, he likes you, sure, but not in the way you'd want. I mean, maybe it's kind of a little sister, you know, but romance, that's just out of the question." And then he laughs in her face, and he
Yeah,
says,
it's
"He
just
kind of
mean.
thinks you're a schoolgirl, you know?" And then he says, "I'm not trying to hurt you, Joe. I'm telling you because I care." And he does it in the way that the air quotes nice guy would say something
Mm,
to you while he's coming
yeah.
on to you trying to justify the mean comments that he's making. Ugh,
No, don't like it. And
no.
this is where the episode ends. Bye.
Yeah, this is where Laura turned it off and said, "No more. I will go no further. You shall not pass."
I don't like it.
Yeah. So Joe says, "That's real kind of you, Sam." But she says it in the tone of "get fucked." And I appreciated that. And Sam says, "I mean it." And then he places a hand over hers on the bar really suggestively and possessively and says, "I care about you a lot." And she says, "Sam, what's going on?" And she tries to pull away from him, but he will not let her go. And if there is any doubt in your brain that this is not Sam Winchester, like at that point, you would 100% know for a fact there's no part of Sam Winchester involved. Okay.
No.
Um, and he says, "I can be more to you, Joe." And she says, "Maybe you should leave." And he says, "Okay." And then he shoves her hand away and stands like he's gonna leave. So she turns away, leaning on the bar. And then suddenly from behind, Sam grabs her and starts manhandling her. And Joe's screaming, "Sam, get off me, let go." And she grabs a beer bottle. But before she can hit him with it, he grabs her wrist and slams it down. So he shatters on the bar. And he says, "Joe, Joe, Joe." And then he shoves her around until she faces the bar and pins her there, left hand over her wrist, right hand stroking her hair. And Joe screams and
Ew.
is going, "Sam, no, please, please." Because it's super fucking rapey and terrifying.
Mhm.
Um, he slams her forehead into the bar and knocks her out. And he's stroking her hair in a really disturbing way while she's unconscious. And then says, "It
Mhm.
didn't have to be this way. Maybe it did." And then he smiles really evilly.
It's horrible.
Bleh.
You know the one with H. Holmes, and it was really creepy because he was like stroking her hair. This is
Yeah.
worse than that.
It's like a repeat of that. Like, she's never gonna wanna have her hair stroked ever again because she's gonna be so traumatized. It is the grossest, scariest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Um, and it's definitely one of the freakiest moments I feel like in TV. Like, I'm putting it right out there, like, when Jensen's playing evil in Skin, freaked me the hell out, traumatized me. This episode freaked Laura out, probably low-key traumatized Laura because your comfort character, the character that you love, is acting so evil, and, like, I hated it. Like, I'm a Dean girl, but I hated this so much. I didn't wanna keep watching the scene. Like, I wanted to just tap out, and I think if I had been
Yeah.
watching the show to just watch the show, I would have tapped out, but because I was watching it for the podcast, I had to keep going.
I do.
There was
Yeah,
no
it's
choice.
kind of like it's worse in a way because Sam is like the good one. I know Dean is good as
Yeah.
well, but he's got a bit of an edge to him, and it's like
He's a
not
bad
quite
boy.
as
Like, we can be
yeah.
honest. He's a bad boy. He's an anti-hero because he has just a little bit too much psycho to be just a straight hero. Like, he's
Yeah.
like, "This is how I would murder this whole town." And he just says it casually on a Wednesday morning. So, like, we
Yeah.
love
He's
Dean.
basically
Dean
Dexter, like we've talked about before.
Dean is Dexter. He's my favorite. I adore him so much. He has heavy influences of American Psycho, right? Like, and it's fantastic and it's hot in ways. But yeah, he's not the good one in the
Yeah.
show. Sam is definitely the good one. And so when you see Sam go full dark and do terrible, evil, awful things to a character who you love and that you know that Dean loves, it is so hideous and just gross and horrible and scary.
Yeah. Especially like I feel like it could be quite fun Sam being bad, like the other possessed parts of it, the episode weren't as bad, but this scene, because of like the basically assault kind of part of
Connotations.
it,
Yeah,
it's even more, it's like triggering.
it is really triggering and really, really disturbing. So when we go back into the scene, it's still the bar, and a jukebox is playing the Doors' "Crystal Ship," which is a freaky sounding song. So it like adds to the eeriness. Joe is in a sitting position, like sitting up, tied to this wooden post, and she wakes up and says, "What the hell is going on? What are you doing?" And Sam says, "So what exactly did your mom tell you about how your dad died?" And Joe just says, "You're not Sam." And Sam says, "Don't be so sure about that. Answer the question." And Joe doesn't say anything. And Sam kind of sighs and goes around, sits in front of her, leans in, and then he pulls out a large knife and starts stroking her face with it. And I wrote down in my notes, not the eye. There's knife all up in her
Yeah.
eyeball. I was like, Laura will not be okay.
No,
Laura's
I
like,
put, why is he holding the knife so close to her eye during the scene?
yep, yep. And then I wrote emotional damage because just like all of the stuff before and then it continues and carries on and gets creepier. So it's like emotional damage. So
Yeah.
Joe says fine after he says, "Come on, it's me. You can tell me anything. You know that. Answer the question." And Joe says, "Our dads were in California, Devil's Gate Reservoir. They were setting a trap for some kind of hell spawn. John was hiding, waiting, and my dad was bait." And Sam laughs, like a really dark laugh, and he says, "That's just like John. Oh, I'll bet he dangled Bill like meat on a hook. Then what?" So he goes to stand behind her, and Joe says, "The thing showed up. John got too eager, jumped out too soon, got my dad exposed out in the open. The thing turned around and killed him." Sam says, "Not quite." And Joe says, "What?" And Sam says, "What? Oh, see, it hurt him. It didn't kill him. You really don't know the truth, do you? I bet your mom doesn't either." And then he gets really close to her, like his face is in her face. And Joe says, "No, what?" And he says, "You see, Bill, he was all clawed up, was holding his insides in his hands. He was gurgling and praying to see you and Ellen one more time. So my dad killed him, put him out of his misery like a sick dog." And Joe's crying, and she says, "You're lying." And Sam says, "I'm
Hmm.
not. It's true." And then he goes, "My daddy shot your daddy in the head."
No, it was horrible.
Jared is such a good
Mm,
actor.
yeah.
He's such a good actor because this is so fucking scary and
It's
gross.
horrible. I was like,
Um,
is it true? Or it might be a spoiler, but is it true, or is the demon just being a prick?
I don't think we ever find out one way or the other for 100% sure. So
Uh,
I think you're sort of left to make up your own mind about whether you think that's true or not.
I mean, it's John, so it could have been.
I mean, John,
It wouldn't
yeah.
surprise me if it was the
No,
truth.
John's like, "Be bait. Oh no, you're dying horribly. I'll just ease your suffering." Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a John thing to do. Um, so Joe asks how he could know that, and he says, "I hear things." And then he stands up and stabs the knife into the pillar just above her head. And Joe says, "Why are you doing this to me?" And Sam says, "Like daddy, like daughter, you're bait. Open up." And then he shoves this handkerchief thing into her mouth to gag her and says, "That's a girl." And then the ultimate thirst trap. Okay? The Thunderdome of thirst traps. 2 men enters. Only 1 man leaves. Anyway, so the door bursts open and Dean comes in blazing gun out and says, "Sam!" And Sam grabs the knife out of the pillar and he looks kind of panicked and then places the knife over Joe's throat. And he's shouting, but he's acting like Sam. Like this is Meg pretending to be Sam more convincingly for
Yeah.
Dean, right?
It's like that
And he
switch between being
it's the
evil and being Sam
switch.
again. Mm.
Yeah. He says, "I begged you to stop me, Dean." And Dean says, "Put the knife down, damn it." And Sam says, "I told you I can't fight it. My head feels like it's on fire, all right? Dean, kill me or I'm going to kill her. Please, you be doing me a favor. Shoot me." And then he turns to Dean and he holds his arms out really dramatically and he screams, "Shoot me." And Dean is staring at Joe and looking at Sam and watching both of them and says, "No, Sammy, come on." And Dean turns away, lowering the gun. And Sam said, "What the hell's wrong with you, Dean? Are you that scared of being alone that you'd rather let Joe die?" And Dean turns suddenly and he's flinging water from a flask at Sam, and the water hisses and steams. And Dean goes, "That's holy water, you demonic son of a bitch." You're strapped so
He's worked
hot.
it out.
It's so, so hot. It's so sexy. It's just because Dean's being a book boyfriend and he's protecting Joe, and he came to save her so fucking fast. So
Yeah.
fucking fast. And then also, he is throwing holy water on what has got Sam. And it's just the sexiest thing that I have ever beheld in my little eyes. Like, it's the best. It's the best.
Mm. And then Sam looks at him and he's got the demon eyes, the black demon eyes, and I wrote,
Yep.
ew.
Yep.
Oh, and then this bit's weird because he runs and jumps through a window. And I just wrote, was this window made of paper? Because the frame part broke just as easily as the glass parts. Like
I
a stunt
mean,
window.
it is a stunt window, clearly, obviously, but also Jared Padalecki is really large and must weigh a lot because muscle mass. So I feel like that could be kind of realistic. Like, I feel like if you threw a Jared Padalecki through a window, unless it was a really reinforced window, it would probably just go poof. Maybe I've seen too many action films. I don't know, but that's I feel like he would do some damage.
Yeah. So anyway, Dean unties Joe. Like he has to stop and untie her first, and then he goes after Sam.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like both of them diving through the window. Like, that was really fun. Joe's like, he was
Yeah.
possessed, and then he looks at her and then just leaps through the window like a gazelle. And she's like, "Dane!" And I was like, "But boyfriend." So Dean and possessed Sam kind of stalk each other through this dim, crowded warehouse, and they both have their guns drawn. Um, and they never quite see each other directly. They're being really stealthy and hiding behind piles of boxes and just sort of shouting across. And I wrote down, "This is literally Fallen." And I felt so vindicated because do you remember the last demon possession episode? I was screaming about how it was terrible and it should have been more like Fallen, which is an amazing movie.
Mm.
Um, and all about possession. And there's so many things in this episode that are so much like Fallen. I was like, I felt like they traveled back in time and took my note, and it made me very happy. So Dean says, "So who are you?" And Sam says, "I got lots of names. We all know that it's Meg." So Dean says, "You've been in Sam since he disappeared, haven't you?" And Sam says, "You should have seen your face when you thought he murdered that guy. It was pathetic." Dean says, "Why didn't you kill me? You had dozens of chances." And Sam says, "Nah, that would have been too easy. Where's the fun in that? You see, this was a test. Wanted to see if I could push you far enough to waste Sam. Should have known you wouldn't have the sack. Anyway, fun's over now." Which is so menacing and awful. Um,
Yeah.
and Dean says, "Well, I hope you got your kicks because you're going to pay hell for this. I'm going to make sure of that." And Sam says, "How? You can't hurt me, not without hurting your little brother." And Dean's putting his gun away and pulling out the flask of holy water. And Sam says, "See, I think you're going to die, Dean. You and every other hunter I can find. One look at Sam's dewy, sensitive eyes, they'll let me right in their door." And that made me laugh because
Dewy
that is
eyes.
true. He is a dewy-eyed little fawn, and he charms everyone. And I was like, well, so that's A, funny, but B, also pretty scary. So possessed Sam gets up and starts heading outside, and Dean follows. And they're in this open air dock. And once Dean is out in the open looking around at the water, Sam steps out, takes aim, and shoots Dean, hitting him in the shoulder. Dean is
Uh-oh.
knocked into the water with a splash. Uh-oh! Sam stalks up to the edge and peers over where Dean fell and doesn't see anything. And he smiles because he assumes that Dean's dead. And
He does an evil
I
smirk.
it was so scary and awful. And I was like, Dean! That was a lot. Okay, that was a lot. So
It
Dean
was.
falls into the water, and then Joe walks through the docks. She's been tracking him. She must have started tracking him as soon as he left, and because she was right behind him. And then she's calling him on the phone, getting his voicemail, and getting really frustrated, looking everywhere that she can to try to find him. So she hangs up the phone, really frustrated, And then she starts calling him again. And this time she hears Dean's ringtone coming from below her by the water. So she runs down to where he is, and he's unconscious at the bottom of the ramp. And I write down that he must have swum all the way down across and then dragged himself out of the water while shot in the shoulder. And I just went,
Yeah.
holy fuck. Because that would be an impossible, like, painful, horrible thing to have to do. So it's just, ugh. And it's also kind of sexy because that is tough as fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Mixed feelings for me. So Joe starts shouting, Dean, Dean. And he wakes up and he's coughing up water and he's soaked to the bone and he's clearly in so much pain. And the first thing he says is, where's Sam? And Joe says, I don't know. I've been looking for you. Come on, get up. And then she helps him stand up. And then we cut to the bar where Dean's sitting down. He's holding onto this table for dear life while Joe is digging this bullet out of him. And she's saying, don't be a baby. And Dean's like, God. And Joe says almost, all right, got it. And then she drops the bullet in this glass of clear alcohol. And Dean takes like a massive swig from a bottle of whiskey. And he says, God, you're a butcher. And Joe says, you're welcome. And then he's like, all right, are we done? And it is so funny. And then she's like, would you give me 2 minutes to patch you up? You can't help Sam if you're bleeding to death. So he takes another massive drink, clearly suffering. And then she puts gauze all around it and starts tying it off. And she says, so how did you know that he was possessed? And Dean said, I didn't. I just knew it couldn't have been him. And she says, hey, Dean. And he says, yeah. And she says, I know demons lie, but do they ever tell the truth too? And Dean says, sometimes, I guess, especially if they know it'll mess with your head. Why do you ask? And then she doesn't tell him.
No.
Because honestly, it's not going to make anything better. And she loves him and he loves her. And she doesn't want to ruin the moment. Okay. And Joe patching up Dean is the hottest thing I've ever seen. And then I wrote, I made a poem because that rhymed. And don't be a baby, you're a butcher is one of my favorite lines ever.
Yeah.
It is. I love it so much. And he is being so kind of grumpy with her now. So I wrote down my whole theory about why that is. And basically he's saying he thinks that Sam's going to go after the nearest hunter, and the closest one that Dean knows of is in South Dakota. And Joe says, okay, good, I'm done, let's go. And Dean says, yeah, you're not coming. And Joe says, the hell I'm not, I'm part of this now. And Dean says, I can't say it more plain than this. You try to follow me and I'll tell you right back to that post and leave you here. This is my fight. I'm not getting your blood on my hands. That's just how it's going to be. And Joe says, wait. And she hands him some pain pills and says, here, take these, it'll help with the pain. And Dean says, thanks, I'll call you later, okay? And really quietly, Joe says, no, you won't, to herself after he's left.
Yeah.
And I was like kicking and screaming. But what I think happened, like what I know happened, is Dean cannot say, I love you, and I don't know what I'd do if I had to choose between you or Sammy. So he's harsh to her instead. He can't stand the idea of her in danger, so he's trying to give her up. Because I think he understands that he and Sam are kind of the Batman and Superman in this world. And that everyone they care about can be used as targets.
Oh, I like that.
It's the truth, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
it's the truth, isn't it? And like, he loves her so much. And so like the way that he comes so fucking fast as soon as she's in trouble. And the way that Meg chooses her because she thinks that's the emotional leverage needed to get Dean to kill his brother tells you how much Dean loves Joe. And I still think they're the best couple in Supernatural, and I will die on that hill. So I maintain that. And I love that scene. I love everything about that scene. I think it's super powerful. And I will watch it again and again and again and again, probably.
So Dean is driving and not in Baby because Sam's stolen her.
Yeah, he's so grumpy about it.
And he tries calling someone. We hear their phone ringing and then a knife cuts the phone line. and Sam knocks on the door, and Bobby opens it. And I think I voice noted you when I was watching it, going, "They're at Bobby's.
Yeah,
He's at
you
Bobby's."
did. You were like, he's at Bobby's house.
I was like, "What
Oh,
happened? What's gonna happen?"
yeah.
And he gets invited in. He asks where Dean is and goes to the kitchen, and we stay with Sam and hear the fridge open in the distance as they continue to talk about Dean. Sam's eyes do the demon thing again. Bobby comes back with 2 beers and hands one to Sam. And this is where we know that he must have clocked straight away it wasn't Sam, because
Yep.
Sam takes a sip and what looks like steam starts coming out of his mouth, and he starts choking and hissing, and we realise that Bobby's put holy water in the beer. And then Bobby says,
Mhm.
"Don't try to con a con man," which I really like, and
I
punches him.
love this scene. I wrote, "That's what you get, son." And then I wrote, "Holy water in the beer. Fuck yeah." And then the line where Bobby says, "Don't try to con the con man." And I wrote,
Yeah.
"Who's your daddy?" And then I drew a picture of Bobby next to that.
So in the next scene, Sam is tied to a chair under the devil's trap. So is this the same one from before? He hasn't drawn another one. It
Yes,
looks like the same one.
it's
Yeah.
the same one. Yeah.
For when they were doing the same thing to Meg. So Bobby slaps him awake, and Dean is there now too, because they're going to do an exorcism.
Mhm. And that is the perfect segue into my Easter egg. Okay. So, we know that the location is in Duluth, Minnesota. And I've definitely found like lots of haunted stuff and also a reference to a hilariously recent rise in the demand for exorcists in Duluth. So once more, the show is like predicting the future somehow, which is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Apparently Duluth has a pretty high um population of Catholics
Demon population.
and I guess also demons. So the Minnesota Star Tribune ran an article called Exorcisms Make a 21st Century Comeback in Minnesota, US. And then underneath it says, no official data is available, but church leaders say there are more Catholic exorcists in the US today than at any other time in recent memory. And when I went looking, specifically in Duluth, there's been a resurgence. There's local newspapers talking about like this rising need for exorcists and
What?
more and more demonic activity and stuff. And I just went, whoa, okay.
Wait,
So
what year did you say this was?
um so that one was published in 2019.
Oh, weird.
So once again, the show has kind of freakishly crystal ball predicted a trend. So we
Yeah.
see creepy stuff in the show, and then somehow years later, like the same weird stuff from the show seems to be bubbling up, and it's freaky, and I kind of love it.
Me too.
So, exorcisms. I found an article that basically, well, I found a couple of articles that I'll draw from. And I have all the links in the show notes so you guys can hop around just like I did. All right, so what I've done is I've cherry picked what I think are the best and most interesting cases of demonic possession and exorcisms to go along with the theme. So the first one takes place way back in the day. And the article that I found is a cool rundown of like the origins. And they say the concept of exorcism or possession dates back hundreds of years, potentially around the beginning of the early shamanistic beliefs, where the dead were thought to cause harm to the living. Many ancient cultures, including the Egyptian and Babylonian cultures, often associated illness and death with the work of evil spirits. Typically, exorcisms are performed by priests with a prayer, which falls under the category of sacramentals. Throughout time, many exorcisms have been performed on both the young and the old. Exorcists typically deal with 4 types of possession. These are demonic possession, demonic infestation, demonic vexation, and demonic obsession. They like the
I didn't
shuns.
realise there was 4 categories.
No. So demonic possession is when a demon is using somebody's body as their own, like a meat puppet. Infestation is the presence of evil in a location, so like a house or an object. Vexation is the physical attacks on a person's body. So like when someone comes away with like the devil's mark, where it's like the 3 claw thing. or
Oh yeah.
bites or unexplained stuff like that. And then obsession is a demon has attacked someone's mind, which is affecting their thoughts and emotions. Um, so I thought that the categories were really interesting.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really thought about it in that much detail before, so that was kind of fun to sit down and get a little bit more understanding. So the first instance of possession that I have chosen, I think is actually men being super jealous of a really awesome woman, and I thought that was very entertaining. So that's what we're covering first. She is number one, our reigning champion and queen, and her name is Mademoiselle Elizabeth de Ranfang. I assume is how you pronounce her last name. It's Ranfaing. I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to say Ranfang because nothing else makes
Okay.
sense to me. So, in 1619, Mademoiselle Elizabeth, a recent widow, was sought in marriage by a particularly bitter physician. After refusing his advances, he gave her potions in the hope of causing her to fall in love with him. He drugged her. Okay. Unfortunately, this
Yeah.
didn't work and caused several strange health developments for Elizabeth, which various physicians were unable to cure. He poisoned her. Um, in September of 1619, it was decided that an exorcism would be most appropriate, during which the alleged demon that possessed her made detailed responses in Latin, French, Greek, Hebrew, and Italian. She's an educated lady, okay? And she's basically just telling these bitches what for, all right? Um, it was also able to recite the sins and thoughts of the individuals examining Elizabeth and exposed secrets of the church, which makes me think that she just read everyone for filth, okay? Um, at one point, the demon even interrupted the priest and mocked him for making a mistake in his Latin, which, if you were an incredibly literate woman, why wouldn't you? Okay? Why wouldn't you? Um, Finally, in 1625, after several exorcisms, air quotes, sarcasm, where I hope she tore everyone to shreds even more and was just uncontainable. Like, I see her as an uncontainable force of nature, honestly. Um, the possession, air quotes, disappeared, with Elizabeth eventually going on to found her own order of nuns. So she said, fuck all of y'all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own little church dynasty. And what she did was she rescued other women. So she, a woman who had been poisoned and attacked by
Yeah.
men, went on to establish her own order where she was able to rescue women who had recovering from poverty or they'd been forced into sex work. And she was like, no more of this bullshit. And she took them under her wing and helped them. And I just think that we should
That's
all be
nice.
more like that. Like,
Yeah.
what an absolute legend. Legend. She's like correcting this man's Latin. I can't. She's amazing. She was
I feel like
poisoned and correcting his Latin.
I feel like that one was just she was sick of everyone's shit and she decided to tell the truth, but she had to say she was possessed in order to do
So they
that.
should get away with it. Be like, oh yes, you've cured me now that I've aired all your dirty laundry, bitches. Yeah, no, what an absolute fucking queen, honestly. So the next one is Anna Eklund. And this article says the 1928 exorcism of Wisconsin woman Anna Eklund is one of America's most famous, partly because it was recounted in a 1935 booklet by one of the exorcists. The eyewitness account is a shocking list of demon possession phenomena that we have become so familiar with now thanks to the magic of the horror film, which is superhuman strength, levitation, blaspheming in a demonic voice, the sudden appearance of hordes of flies in the room. All of these things were apparently present.
Yeah. Oh.
And then it says, but there were novel, disgusting behaviors. Anna urinated buckets of liquid each day and vomited what seemed to be tobacco leaves and spices, despite not eating or drinking anything. Her lips grew to the size of hands, and her body and head swelled up to such an extreme that people present thought she might explode. The exorcism lasted for 23 days, after which Anna walked away and went on to live a peaceful life.
How her lips were the size of hands. What?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What does
That
that
just
even
feels like physically
mean?
impossible. Like if you hold your hands up in front of your face, that's like your whole face.
Yeah. Okay. That one's
I
weird.
know. It's very weird and nonsensical, and that's why I put it here because I feel like people were tripping. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
people had some moonshine that was made in somebody's bathtub and were just like, I don't understand that one, and I thought it was both scary and funny because it
Yeah.
starts out scary with, like, she's the tick list for what we see in horror movies, right? With the flies and all the violence and the levitation and shit, but then it just gets really ridiculous at the end. I was like, "You had me in the beginning, and then at the end, you lost me."
Yeah.
Okay. So the next article is on Roland Doe, which is one of the most famous cases, and it is the basis for The Exorcist. So the article says, "Stay away from Ouija boards." That's the takeaway from this terrifying tale from the 1940s, said to be one of the inspirations for the book The Exorcist and then later the film. It says, after trying to contact his recently deceased aunt using the hellish contraption, which it's a kid's game by Hasbro. Hasbro made Ouija boards. I'm just saying. Okay, okay. Strange occurrences started to surround 14-year-old Roland. The dyslexia is so strong. Um, Levitating household objects, vibrating religious pictures, toppling furnitures. Priests were called in, and things heated up over the course of multiple exorcisms. Wounds appeared from nowhere on Roland's body, reportedly resembling demonic faces. The priest didn't escape uninjured either, with one suffering a gashed arm from the mattress spring torn free as Roland attempted to escape his restraints. Another copped to a broken nose. Nevertheless, both exorcist and possessed walked away more or less back to normal. I just feel like whoever wrote that particular paragraph is very upsetting to me because that was really confusing to read and to hear. But basically, to sum it up, he attacked the priests who were trying to exorcise him, um, punched someone in the nose, broke their nose, gashed another person with a mattress spring that he somehow managed to tear out, while he also managed to tear out of his restraints, which he'd been in for, I think, a while at that point. So he should have
Yeah.
been pretty weak and pretty tired. Um, they claimed that they saw like levitation, that he was able to levitate objects. Um, that things like a crucifix or a portrait of Christ would be shaking in his presence. And that they thought that there were the faces of demons kind of trying to come up through his skin. So sort of like what we see in horror
Ugh.
movies now.
Yeah.
Um, I've included another article later in the notes, sort of like towards the end about him, which I thought was really interesting, where basically the only person to have interviewed one of the priests while he was still alive has a very different take on what he think happened. And he basically says that he doesn't think that this 14-year-old kid should have been exorcised at all. He thinks that because he maintains that it didn't meet the church's criteria, and that it was a case of a very young exorcist who was inexperienced kind of doing an exorcism on someone who he argues didn't need it in the first place. So there's like two really conflicting stories. There's the story
Mhm.
that's really drummed up in the book. And he says that everything that we hear about this case, or at least a vast majority of it, was made up by the author for entertainment purposes. And so, like, basically everything we see in the movie was made up.
Yeah.
Um, so for people who take an analytical approach or like a critical approach, that could be an interesting read. He did go on to live his life, and he was actually an engineer at NASA and responsible for part of the moon landing. So that I
Uh,
thought was interesting. So like one
yeah.
of the most famous cases of possession, but he went on to work for NASA and help us get to the moon. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So yeah, so those are my possession stories. I thought that they were interesting. There's a few more in the show notes for you guys, but yeah, I thought that it was fascinating to hear what multiple different accounts had to say about real, or air quotes real possession, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. I liked those. So yeah, we're back at Bobby's, and Bobby and Dean are about to exorcise the demon. And Sam, or the demon, says, "Dean, back from the dead, getting to be a regular thing for you, isn't it? Like a cockroach." And one, I enjoyed that because of the cockroach reference. And also, he's completely correct because Dean has been like dead twice.
Yep. He just resurrects. He can't be killed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So right after he calls him the forbidden bug, Dean says,
Cockroach.
"How about I smack that bitch?" Dean says, "How about I smack that smartass right out of your mouth, Laura?" And then Sam says, "Oh, careful now. Wouldn't want to bruise this fine packaging."
I liked that bit.
Yeah, that was funny. And Dean says,
Again,
"Oh,
he's
don't
not wrong.
worry." Yeah, not wrong. "This isn't going to hurt Sam much." And then picks up a bucket and says, "You," on the other hand, and dumps an entire bucket of holy water on possessed Sam, who sizzles and screams because that would hurt like a motherfucker. Okay. And Dean says,
Yeah.
"Feel like talking now?" He's like, "What now?" And not Sam says, "Sam's still my meat puppet.
Meat puppet.
I'll make him bite off his tongue." And Dean says, "No, you won't be in him long enough." And then he goes, "Bobby." And Bobby starts reading an exorcism rite in Latin. And Dean's talking over Bobby while he's reading the exorcism rite. And he says, "See, whatever bitch boy master plan you demons are cooking up, you're not getting Sam. You understand me? Because I'm going to kill every one of you first." And I was like, oh, thirst trap. Like, honestly, anytime he threatens demons and says that he's going to go to hell and kill everyone or slay everyone first, I'm just like, I, A, believe you, and B, that is so sexy. I'm just saying. So the Sam demon struggles painfully and then throws back his head and laughs maniacally, and Bobby cuts off in surprise. And Sam says, "You really think that's what this is about? The master plan? I don't give a rat's ass about the master plan." And Bobby continues his exorcism, and Sam says, "Oops, doesn't seem to be working. See, I learned a few tricks."
Oh, no.
And then he starts growling out his own Latin. So he's kind of counteracting what Bobby is doing. And the fire behind him flares up and the room starts shaking. And Dean says, "This isn't going like I pictured. What's going on, Bobby?" And Bobby's like looking at the burn mark, the brand on Sam's forearm, and says, "It's a binding link. It's like a lock. He locked himself inside of Sam's body." And Dean says, "What the hell do we do?" And Bobby's like, "I don't know." And in my notes, I was like, "Cut his arm off." What'd you say? It's way too extreme, obviously.
Just a bit.
Just a little. If I was going to kill this town, this is what I would do. It was like a Dean moment. So Sam throws back his head and screams, and the shaking in the walls intensifies, and there's a crack in the ceiling where the devil's trap, the Solomon seal, is, and it splits down the middle. So their protective circle is now dust. And Sam's eyes go full black, and he says, "There, that's better." And it's
creepy.
It's so creepy. And then he jerks his head to one side, and Bobby goes flying, and he jerks his head to the other side, and Dean goes flying, and gets thrown up against a wall. The flask of holy water falls out of his hand. So he's like in so much pain because this man has a bullet hole in his shoulder, and he's just been flung against the wall super violently. Sam snaps the restraints and stalks over to Dean. And I did think, like, I know it's messed up, but I did think this was kind of hot. The way he just rips through everything and goes over to threaten Dean. Like, that was a little bit hot. Obviously, there's something wrong with me. However, I am unrepentant. So he says, "You know when people want to describe the worst possible thing, they say it's like hell?" And he kneels in front of Dean and grabs Dean's shirt and then smashes him with a right jab. And Dean grabs onto Sam's shirt with his right hand. Sam says, "You know, there's a reason for that. Hell is like a..." And then he punches him in the face again. And he says, "Well, it's like hell." And I laughed. Because I was like, hell is like hell? This is your big threatening line? The whore in heart puts the whore in heart. Thanks, Laura.
Puts the
Thanks a
hell in
bunch.
hell.
Puts the hell in hell, yeah. So, but then it gets kind of creepy, and the line starts to kind of
It's
recover
y
itself.
yeah, and it's really
So
brutal, like, he keeps punching Dean, it's horrible.
Dean is
It's
bleeding out from the
it's horrible to
face.
watch.
It is awful because he's punching him again and again. It's kind of like when the Hulk is smashing Loki into the floor. He's just
Mm.
smashing the shit out of Dean, and Dean's just bleeding from his face. And the demon possessed Sam says it's a prison made of bone and flesh and blood and fear. And then he smashes into him again and he says, "And you sent me back there." And Dean's sneering and he says,
Ooh.
"Meg." And Sam says, "No, not anymore. Now I'm Sam." And then smashes him again. And then he digs his right thumb into Dean's bullet wound. "By the way, I saw your dad there." He says, "Howdy." And that was so dark. Okay. So
Mm.
dark. And then he keeps smashing his fingers into Dean's bullet hole, which, like, ugh. And then Meg says, "All that I had to hold on to was that I would climb out one day, that I was going to torture you, nice and slow, like pulling the wings off of an insect." And then he shoves Dean's hand away. "But whatever I do, it's nothing compared to what you do to yourself, is it? I can see it in your eyes, Dean. You're worthless. You couldn't save your dad, and deep down, you know you can't save your brother. They'd have been better off without you." And then Sam goes
Aw.
to punch
They
Dean
wouldn't.
again. I know, it's heartbreaking. And Dean's face is just, it's emotional damage. It's emotional damage. But then suddenly Bobby is there because once again, Bobby is the man. Okay. He is such a fucking badass. He is
Yeah.
the daddy. Okay. So he burns the mark off of Sam's arm with a hot poker, who Sam screams and then screams again as the demon smoke, demon dust,
He was like,
leaves him. Yep. And Dean pulls himself up really painfully. Sam falls back, then comes to himself. And he looks around in confusion and grabs where he was just burned. Like he's suddenly feeling it. And Dean says,
yeah.
"Sammy," which is beautiful because it's always beautiful when he says Sammy. And Sam says, "Did I miss anything?" And Dean turns around and right hooks him in the face.
This was improvised.
Was
This is my
it? Tell
fun
me
fact.
everything. Tell me everything right now.
It's on IMDb. It says when Dean punches Sam towards the end, Jensen Ackles apparently improvised this as it was not in the shooting script. And I wrote, I like it when they do this when they leave them in. Usually, like when Jensen was falling in the ditch in Hunted. But this
Yeah.
one didn't really fit, in my opinion. It kind of, I don't think Dean would have punched Sam knowing that he's not Sam anymore, unless he still thought he was the demon, I guess. But
No, no, I'm going to tell you why, because that's what my notes actually say is why he did this. So
okay.
I wrote down, he punches him in the face with his shot arm. And then I wrote, "That's the most Dean move ever." And then he basically collapses because he's like, "Oh no, what the fuck?" But it's because that's his right hook. And that was how he needed to smash him. And I wrote down, I see this as number one, Sam must have run off or like left and left himself vulnerable. And that must be how Meg got him because she has to have grabbed him from Texas when they were out getting burgers.
Yeah.
So I feel like Sam probably got kind of emo, which Dean has been asking him to not like wander off and be like, "Oh, you should just kill me," or whatever else, right? So I feel like Dean is annoyed because Sam must have wandered off and then got. And I feel like Dean's mad that he left. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Because if they were together, he couldn't have gotten taken. And then number two is it's not 100% rational, but the anger about what happened to Joe and Dean feeling like he's forced to give Joe up in order to keep her safe. That rage has to go somewhere. And he kind of took it out on Sam, who,
That's not Sam's fault.
yeah, I didn't say it was, I said it's not rational. But he has all of that, and it's gotta go somewhere, and
Mm.
these two hit each other. We know that they keep tabs. And I feel like after the day that Dean has had, he has been shot, he has been almost drowned, he's had to rescue the girl that he loves from his demon-possessed brother. So I feel like he kinda holds him subconsciously a little bit responsible And I'm not saying that it's fair because I know Laura's going to immediately defend Sam being possessed, and I understand. But I'm just saying it's Dean logic. And in Dean logic, it makes sense. And also, I'd probably do the same thing.
I think Dean should just be grateful that Sam's not possessed anymore and he's got his brother back.
Typical. Typical. So the next scene, my notes, my summarizing of the next scene, like, kills me because I wrote down, Daddy Bobby, y'all murder Steve. Dean, no sir, never heard of the guy. I wrote, ha ha ha. And Bobby, good, keep it that way. Plausible deniability. You clearly murdered this man. Like, that's
Yeah.
the subtext.
Yeah.
And it made me laugh so hard.
But then it's sweet because he tries to protect them. He gives them the anti-possession charms.
He does, yeah. And he warns them that Wendell's friends are going to be looking for him. And I wrote Daddy Bobby also because Dean says sir to two people, John and Bobby.
Yeah.
It's only father figures. So, like,
Yeah.
it just, like, oh, it warms my heart because Bobby is so good to them and he's clearly their, like, substitute dad.
I liked the quote when he gives them the charms and he says, "That demon's still out there. This will stop it getting back up into you." And Dean says, "That sounds vaguely
That sounds
dirty,
vaguely
but
dirty.
thanks."
Yeah.
And that was funny.
Oh, that was so good. And then that links up again because we get to the last scene and they're on the road at night and Dean's driving down this dark stretch of. This is where, by the way, REO's Speedwagon plays Back on the Road Again, which I told you guys about earlier. All the feelings. Okay, I'm not crying. It was just dusty. Okay. And Dean says, "You okay? Sam, is that you in there?" And Sam says, "I was awake for some of it, Dean. I watched myself kill Wendell with my own two hands. I saw the light go out in his eyes." And Dean says, "That must have been awful." And Sam says, "That's not my point. I almost carved up Joe, too, but no matter what I did, you wouldn't shoot." And Dean says, "It was the right move, Sam. It wasn't you." And Sam says, "Yeah, this time. What about next time?" And Dean says, "Sam, when Dad told me that I might have to kill you, it was only if I couldn't save you. Now, if it's the last thing I do, I'm gonna save you." And I was like, oh, thirst trap. Because that's fucking beautiful. Okay? That's the most beautiful thing ever. And then there's this pause, and Dean ruins the moment.
Yeah, he always ruins it.
I love him,
Always
though.
ruins it.
Laura's like, fuck off. Sam says, "What?" And Dean says, "Nothing." And he's still kind of laughing to himself. And Sam goes, "Dean, what?" And Dean goes, "Dude, you, like, full on had a girl inside you for like a whole week." And then he laughs again. And Sam was frowning, but then he starts laughing too. And then Dean goes, "That's pretty naughty." And then they drive off and the episode ends.
Yeah.
But I just thought he could not resist ruining the moment. Like, he literally, it was
always
such
does.
a beautiful, perfect moment, and he couldn't help himself. He had
Too many
to cheapen the
feelings.
moment.
Yeah.
There's too many feelings, and there was an inside of you joke, and he had to make it.
We just had one though when Bobby made the similar joke. He just made that same joke.
Yeah, no, I know. He was just ripping off Bobby's
funny.
humor. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was funny. It was great. Do you want to do episode games?
Yes. I was just going to say actually, you know how you asked at the beginning whether Sam was aware. So because he says in this that he watched himself kill and he watched the light go out of his eyes, I think that's what made me think he wasn't in control. He was literally just kind of watching. He wasn't doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what I asked myself was what would be the most evil way around for this to be. And I thought that would be for Meg to let Sam surface, but without being able to say what was really going on, and sort of being himself and sort of able to ask Dean for help, but not really because she had most of the control.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back on the rest of the episode, I still don't know. I don't know if maybe a little bit of that or if it was just all Meg acting. I kind of lean into after our conversation that it was all Meg acting and Sam was just having to watch it all, which is also super horrible. So yeah, 10 out of 10 on the horror.
Yeah, that's what I think
Really,
happened.
really solid, scary episode. So I actually am going to give it away with my games. I'm going to say the
Mhm.
scare rating is a 10. I give it a 10.
Hmm.
It was scary.
I gave it a 9 for the evil Sam stuff.
Yeah, that's why I gave it a 10. It was emotional damage.
Yeah. Villain hot or not? Yeah, because it's Sam.
Yep. I wrote down hot, but scary.
Yeah.
Very scary.
What was your favourite quote?
You're a butcher.
I think mine is don't try to con a con man.
That was awesome. That was such a kick-ass line. I was so torn between doing one of the really kick-ass ones or the Joe Dean banter. And me being me, I had
Yeah.
to go for the Joe Dean banter. So
Yeah.
you're a butcher was like, that was amazing.
That was a good one as well.
Yeah.
I haven't written down a thirst trap. I think I must have been too traumatized. Let me see if I can
You
find
must have been.
one.
I wrote down that Dean saving Joe and then her patching him up is my thirst trap. It's just like a long scene. It's just like from point A to point, all of that is a thirst trap.
I did like the bit where she ran down the ramp to when she found
pull
him.
him out. Yeah.
Yeah. MVP, I put Bobby.
Me too. I wrote for the beer moment alone. He's the MVP.
Yeah.
That was so badass. And it was just, I was literally screaming, "Who's your daddy?" It's so good.
And he knew how to fix it. Like he broke the lock.
Exactly. He did. He said, "Get back to hell, bitch," but with a poker.
Yeah, he worked out he could just deform the mark rather than cutting his arm off.
And did not have to cut off his arm.
Which would have been a Dean or Joy move.
Yeah. It would have been
fine. Motel rating. Oh, I didn't give it a rating. I just put fish theme is weird but hilarious. I think it's the attention to detail in all of these themed places that impresses me. Like in this one, they had fishing nets over the lampshades. There was like fishing net style lampshades. Everything fits the theme, and I appreciate the effort.
I mean, I agree with that, but I gave it 2 stars.
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Set design thanks you, I'm sure. They're like, Laura appreciated our effort.
I'm going to be very disappointed if I do go to America and there aren't all these themed motels.
I'm going to have to find the wackiest themed motels that I can find and send you pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so that episode was terrifying, but also brilliant. And there were, for me, lots of thirst traps. For Laura, none, because she was too traumatized.
I probably can come up with something if I watched it again. I just can't think of any right now.
It's okay. I know what the next episode is, the Tall Tales one, roughly, and I remember that I really like it, but I don't remember what happens in it, like, at all. So I decided to not look at the information so that I couldn't accidentally give you any spoilers. Do you have any predictions?
No, because I looked it up and thought it sounded fun, but I don't think I know what's actually going on in the episode. So, no, I don't know. But it's going to be our Christmas episode. It's going to come out Christmas Eve.
I think it's going to be like Tall Tales, the movie, which is one of my favorite movies, where legends start coming to life in unpredictable ways. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've seen the series before, so I could be remembering. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Because there's been things where I'm like, I don't know if I remember that. And then we rewatched the episode, and I was like, I was way off base. So luckily, there's like hundreds of episodes. So I can't keep them all straight, and it's very fresh still. That's my prediction. I'm really excited to watch it. So
yeah.
that
I remember thinking it sounded fun. So yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll have a blast. Should
Yes.
we say goodbye to the people, Laura?
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at the Witches of Letters podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.